My Samsung TV won't turn on.
I'm assuming you didn't blow a fuse in the corner of the room.
There are other things on in that corner, so I know I didn't blow a fuse in the fuse box or trip the breaker.
The TV might not turn on if someone unplugged it from a hard reboot.
I hate how you have to unplug and replug in a lot of things to reboot when pushing buttons doesn't work.
Speaking of buttons, have you tried pushing the button on the TV?
No, why?
I wonder if the reason it won't turn on when you push the button on the remote is that the batteries in the remote are dead. Pushing the button on the TV will tell you if the problem is the TV or the remote.
I can check that.
And make sure nothing is covering the sensor on the TV that picks up its signal. Then it wouldn't turn on.
This isn't like someone putting a bandaid over the computer's camera to protect their privacy.
Yes, that's obvious, as is something on the shelf in front of the TV blocking it.
I don't see it that way.
There were Samsung TVs made from 2006 to 2008 that had capacitor problems that caused them to die too soon.
My TV isn't old enough to be affected by that problem.
Samsung TVs made after that point can still have capacitor issues. You know it is the capacitor problem when it won't turn on for a while after you hit the on button, and then it just doesn't come on.
This is more of a sudden failure.
If there was a pop or clicking, I'd say one internal capacitor too many failed. In 2012, Samsung had to say many of their flat-screen TVs had cap issue that caused them to shut down.
What causes the problem? Or what makes them defective?
They don't relay power as efficiently as they should. The energy turns into heat.
So the capacitors blow up like popcorn kernels as they are cooked.
I've heard of a similar problem occurring when it needed a firmware update because the auto shut-off kept shutting it off too soon.
At least that's a software fix that's easy, compared to taking the TV apart and hoping I could replace the wider blown-out fuses with ones that work.
You update the firmware when it is connected to the internet, though you may need to power cycle it.
I need to get it to work first.
You can download the Samsung firmware off the website, put it on a USB drive, plug it into the TV, and see if it updates.
You're assuming I see the menu to do that.
Actually, try pushing the menu button and seeing if that comes up. If it does, the remote and TV are fine but the input cables aren't working.
Or my cable box died.
Switch the HDMI cables from 1 to 2 and then switch the input source via the menu. Then you can see if it is the input source.
Or the cable. If I switch the input source from DVR to cable box to on-air TV and see something on the other settings.
If you don't see something on the other settings, plugging in the USB with the firmware may be enough to get the update process started, or making sure it is connected to the internet and power cycling it.
The only thing you haven't told me to power cycle is the router.
I'm assuming if you can get to the website to download the firmware update, that isn't necessary. And if the TV has a burned out power supply or one of the board, though, that won't matter.
At least then I can't feel like an idiot when he tries something at my pay grade.